Hello there. I'm Scotty. You're not. Welcome to the Wrestling Corner. Before I begin, a couple of things. First of all, this background. Take a look at this. I put this together myself. Maybe we didn't. Okay. That's another thing I'll talk about. You see, we have posters here. This is in your house. It's kind of cut off. Undertaker, SmackDown vs. Raw 2011. Survivor Series 2000. Survivor Series 2009. Goldberg autograph. Paul Heyman. Ribbon H. And over here on this side, let's turn this way. We have Santino for the Royal Rumble 2009, I believe. Or is this 12? It says 2011. This is the 40-man one? I don't know. WWE 12 over here. WWE Superstars over here. Edge, Farewell, John Cena autograph. Shinsuke Nakamura and The Rock. WWF, The Music Volume 5 here. Okay. So, I didn't exactly get everything. I don't want... There we go, that's better. You're also going to see me... Actually, I put this here. You're going to see me look down every once in a while. I wrote down everything that happened so I can be a little bit more, consistent, coherent. So you're going to see me go like this every once in a while. And I look at it. I could set it up somewhere, I guess. I don't know. If I was to put it here, would it hold? It would fall down. It's not. It won't stay up. It's not sturdy. It's all the first episode, folks. It's all the first episode. Mint. None of that next out then. I don't know. There's like, put it like that. And look at it like that. I don't know. For this episode, we'll have it down here, and I'll figure out for the next one how I'm going to do it. Okay, and yeah, thing number 3, actually. I'm still getting over a cold. I took a couple days off. I'm recording this on a Sunday. It's going to go up on Monday. Scheduling we're going to get to. Excuse me. So I may cough from here and there. I might sound a little nasally. I'm getting over a cold. Trying to get rid of it. Taking the Mucinex. Yeah. It's reminiscent of the cold I had back at the beginning of 2020. Before the COVID thing happened. This reminds me of I had phlegm and stuff. But, yeah. As for the way this show is going, okay, I'm planning on at least every Monday doing a review. And here's what'll happen. I'll have like 2... I didn't bring it with me. Moment, please. And I'm back. Okay, so what I want to do, you see this, I want to do some Monday Night Raws, and I want to go through some of those reviews. And mostly it's going to be episodes of TV, be it Monday Night Raw, be it SmackDown, Nitro, Thunder, like Saturday Night's Main Event. Stuff like that. Once a month, or twice a month actually, is going to be pay-per-view reviews. One, a classic pay-per-view review that coincides with whatever review is going to be that month. And then, of course, the current pay-per-view that comes out, which will be, So this week, this month, if I can speak friggin' English, this month is going to be Royal Rumble. And so we are doing the first ever episode of Monday Night Raw today, this week, as you can tell once I get to it. And next week will be Royal Rumble 2004. And before you say anything, type in the comments, I know, but I want to talk about it. Okay? After that will be the current Royal Rumble of 2023, which will be the day, 2 days after it comes up. So that'll be it. February is tricky because that's Nickelodeon month. But I do plan on doing a classic, whether it's No Way Out, probably No Way Out. No Way Out or Elimination Chamber or something. Before the Elimination Chamber review, we'll review at that point as well. So 2 bonus videos there. But I'm also going to pull my Raw reviews from the 20th anniversary set. Taking a break every once in a while. We'll start with the first ever Raw, which is not on here. It's actually over here. There's a bonus disc. You got some versions of the 50th anniversary of Raw came with this. Mine didn't, but I got this from a friend of mine. So, yeah. We'll get to that in a minute. And then I'm going to go through these. And when we get to this is going year by year. There's starts in 93, and then 96, I think. Yeah, it skips to 96, 97, and so forth. But I figured once it gets, I'm going to stop in certain years and do the draft episodes. So 2002, we'll get the first ever draft. In 2004, we'll get that one. And kind of just go with that. But for now, we are talking about the first ever episode of WWF Monday Night Raw, brought to you from the Manhattan Center, January 11th, 1993, 30 years ago. And yeah, I'm late. I know. I thought that it was the 23rd of January. I'm looking at the poster for Annihilation Star, Natalie Portman, that I have here on the wall. That came out February 23rd, but that's not why I messed it up. I thought it was the 23rd. I don't know why, but it was the 11th. So I should have done it last week. Oops. But anyway, this is a spur of the moment thing. Anyway, it looks like in my head. Well, okay, so I've seen this before a couple times. But this is the first in the review capacity. And let me tell you something. It's rough. It was the first show, so you gotta kind of dismiss it, but this was rough. Man, this was rough. We start off with Sean Mooney. First person we see, he's outside. He says everyone's inside. Bobby Heenan comes in. He goes, I gotta get in. I gotta get in here. I gotta get in. They need me. You know who I am? Bobby Heenan. I need to get in there. And he's like, no, you don't need it. Because someone named Rob Bartlett, who is the worst fucking thing on this show, has taken Bobby Heenan's job for the night. And so they won't let Heenan in. And I know common sense would be like, well, he's still a WWF employee, right? So shouldn't he be able to get in? Guess not. And so we start the show with the intros. Our commentary team is Vince McMahon, who at the time was not publicly known as the boss, just an announcer with the nice red bow tie. The Macho Man Randy Savage, who was during a period where he was on commentary more than he was wrestling, which he did not like, which is why he ended up going to WCW at the end of this year, I think it was. And then, of course, the aforementioned Rob Bartlett, who is the worst thing ever. He's terrible. He makes these jokes that just don't land. They're terrible. And there's one running joke that goes through the entire match that you just want him to, you just yell, shut the up, right? You just tell him to shut the fuck up. Because you just, First match up is, and I'm looking at my, yes, Yokozuna versus Coco Beware. Coco Beware, I noticed, is coming out to Owen Hart's current theme, which I always said was kind of a cheap knockoff version of Girls Just Want to Have Fun, if you get it by Cyndi Lauper, if you listen to the intro of that. But it also reminds me of, you know, Saved by the Bell? They play the music in between scenes. Sometimes they go, that's what it reminds me of too. So it's kind of a fusion of both of those. Coco Beware comes out, the Birdman, and Yokozuna comes out. Before this, though, they make the announcement. They have Rob Bartlett make the announcement. Our first match is Coco Beware versus Yokozuna. So right away, he gets the name wrong. But I don't know, because later there's something in a pre-tape that's very confusing. We'll get to it. We have Yokozuna versus the Birdman, Koko Beware, and right away, Rob Bartlett. He is just, first of all, he's making fun of Yokozuna because he's wearing a diaper. And then he, talking about Koko Beware, says this. I always wondered what happened to Gary Coleman. Cue that meme of the little African-American boy going, "That's racist!" Because that's what it is. That's just because he's an African-American man who is a little short in stature, at least compared to Yokozuna. It's like calling Chad Gable Shorty's G. He's taller than I am. Shorty, Chad Gable is taller than I am, and yet he's Shorty, not to me. I think he's like 5'7". That's taller than me. I'm 5'3", so he's taller than me. Anyway, yeah, and you get the gist of what Rob Bartlett's role is going to be on this show. He is the heel commentator. It's not presented as a heel commentator, but he's doing jokes that if Bobby Heenan were to say some of these jokes, it kind of would be funny, but they decided not to have Heenan. I don't know who Rob Bartlett is. Even after all these years, 30 years later, I don't know. Okay, Yokozuna wins the match with the bonsai drop. There is one moment where they cut outside where you have Koko Beware, he's kind of on the ropes, and it kind of pans to Mr. Fuji, and like Mr. Man's like, oh, Mr. Man is like, oh no, like Fuji's gonna do something. He doesn't. He just stands there and he goes, and then Yokozuna just wins the match with the bonsai drop, and it's a fine match. Good start to the show, but then we have a pre-tape. This is funny because Mr. Vincent Man goes, Bobby Heenan is trying to get into the building, but now let's go to Bobby Heenan for a pre-tape segment where he's talking about the narcissist, which we know is Lex Luger, but he pronounces it Narcissus. I don't know if he couldn't say the word narcissist or if they told him to pronounce that because Narcissus sounds like it could be some Greek god or something. But he's talking to Mr. Perfect. He's like, it's one of those promos where they talk to the camera, but they're talking to someone else, and he's directing it towards Mr. Perfect, and he's saying, like, the Narcissus is gonna get you. The Narcissus, you're not ready for Narcissus. And which he does make his debut in the Royal Rumble match, I believe. But yeah. Next we have the Steiner Brothers versus the Executioners, and really, the Steiners are good. One of the best tag teams. They're a little stiff because like Rick Steiner is going against one guy and it's like knocks this dude in, like throws him into the ropes, and he just hits the side. Like this Executioner guy was just not ready for this move. But this whole match is ruined. I mean, not just because it's basically a squash match, but you have Doink walking around in the background behind the ring on the hard cam with him just, and it's like, what? And it's focused, the commentary team starts talking about Doink, and I'm like, what about the match? Like, this man's like, well, there's Doink there, and he seems to be, I don't know what he's doing. What do you think he's doing? I don't know. The Steiners won with the Steinerizer, I think it's called, where Scott Steiner puts the guy on top of his shoulders, and then Rick Steiner comes up from the top rope and hits a bulldog, basically. It's a nice move, but the only thing I remember from the match is Doink because they won't shut up about it. Excuse me. Next, Vince McMahon interviews Razor Ramon, who we are told earlier is facing... Right, that's what next, yeah. Facing Bret Hart for the WWF Championship at the Royal Rumble, which would be the closest he'd ever get to the WWF Championship. Behind the scenes stuff. If you know Scott Hall, you know why. But, and he's out here, and he's got And I don't know why I was expecting the hey yo, but he doesn't. Vince McMahon starts the interview, he's talking to him. You know something, man? You know, he did the whole spiel. And when he says Hitman, he goes, and then the Hitman. He had to say, the Hitman. You know, it's just, it's kind of funny. And this shirt, so 90s, this shirt. Man, it's so loud, my ears are ringing. That shirt that he's wearing. Good God. But, yeah, it's a classic Razor Ramon promo interview thing, basically. He says he's going to win at Royal Rumble. And then, yeah, he doesn't, but, you know. Intercontinental Championship match. As, I don't know, first of all, we got Tatanka yelling out for charity. For charity thing. I don't know. It's like 8 seconds of him just like, headlocks for humanity, or headlocks for, I don't know. But, yeah. Next, we have Intercontinental Championship match. Shawn Michaels defending against Max Moon. Before you say, who's Max Moon? Conan. That's what Conan was before he was Conan. Yeah, and this was a decent match. I think this may be the longest match of the night. Hold on. There's some water. To you, it's like magically appearing water. All right. Throat gets dry talking, and with a cold, it's drier. Okay. So, Shawn Michaels versus Max Moon. This was a good match. But the commentary on this match, my fucking God. Because it starts out okay. Doink shows up then again. I'm like, really? This is your Intercontinental Championship match, and you're going to throw Doink in here. It gets worse because a topical moment of the time, something about Mike Tyson's in jail, and so Mr. Man goes, we have Mike Tyson on the line here, and it's Rob Bartlett doing a Mike Tyson impersonation, a terrible one, that goes on for the entire fucking rest of the match. And so this match with Shawn Michaels, one of the greats, that could have been good, that is good, it's solely by the fact that you bring Doink back out again. Hold on. Sorry about that, folks. Phlegm. The match is ruined by Doink coming out again, and then Rob Bartlett doing a very terrible Mike Tyson impersonation. It's terrible. And then the finish of the match is weird. I guess maybe Shawn Michaels wasn't using the super kick or sweet chin music as a finisher, because he hits the sweet chin music or super kick on Max Moon and then picks him up for a Saito suplex and wins with that. It's really weird too, because he picks him up to do it, Max Moon reverses and then just goes and does it anyway and gets the 1, 2, 3. I don't know. It's a very weird finish for me. But yeah. Next thing, I gotta pick this up now. Because we cut. First of all, we have a ad for WWF Mania Saturday mornings on the USA Network, and then we have the Royal Rumble promo thing with Mean Gene Okerlund, another great announcer. May he rest in peace, like Bobby Heenan. Oh, I forgot something. Way back, I'm not going to restart this. Way back when before Vince McMahon interviewed Razor Ramon, Bobby Heenan shows up dressed as a woman, saying he's Rob Bartlett's aunt, and he needs to get in she needs to get in because her nephew needs her, and it's Bobby Heenan. That's the running gag, for the night is that. So back to where we are in the show. Royal Rumble report with Mean Gene Okerlund. He says that it's going to be Shawn Michaels defending the Intercontinental Championship against Marty Jannetty. And whose corner, this is another talking point at the beginning of the Shawn Michaels match, but whose corner is Sensational Sherry going to be? Is Shawn Michaels is going to be Marty Jannetty. And to me, I'm sitting there going, I never knew she had any connection to Marty Jannetty. I thought she was always just the manager of Shawn Michaels, but I guess not. I guess she was manager of the Rockers at first. I don't know. But, yeah, and so you got pre-tapes of Shawn Michaels saying that, oh, she's going to be in my corner, and that's how it's going to be. And then Marty Jannetty, who, sorry to say, can't really cut a promo, basically saying that Sherry's going to be in his corner, so who knows. And then we got Mean Gene Okerlund giving us some of the entrants in the Royal Rumble match. And we have fellow Minnesotan Ric Flair, where he's saying he's from North Carolina. Nah, he wasn't born in North Carolina. He's from Minnesota. But, you know, Nature Boy Ric Flair. Woo! Tatanka, Buffalo, Native American Tatanka, IRS. Which, by the way, more Rob Bartlett. Back when Tatanka does that whole spiel about the charity, Rob Bartlett says, I don't think he's even a real Native American. Anyway, IRS, Musa Bob Backlund, Jerry the King Lawler, Mr. Perfect, who has it pre-taped, and is saying he talks about winning the Royal Rumble, but they didn't think to include, you know, a response to Bobby Heenan's promo earlier in the show. No. They just haven't thought about winning the Royal Rumble. $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, Kona Crush, he's the Hawaiian superstar at this point, even comes out later, bruh. The model Rick Martel, and Yokozuna, who has it pre-taped. But Mr. Fuji is the one talking. And Mr. Fuji is the one promoting the Royal Rumble stuff. He also calls him Yokozuna, which could be because of his, you know, English translation, maybe. You get in the ring with my Yokozuna, and my Yokozuna go and win the Royal Rumble, which, as Paul Heyman would say, is not a prediction, it's a spoiler. But the whole time he's going, but at one point, Yokozuna starts speaking something in Japanese or Samoan, whatever, and then eventually just starts yelling out, Yosh, 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 Yosh. And I'm like, I had to rewind this a couple of times so I could write down the names, and it kept going back to this. And my God, by the time I was done trying to write down the names, I got sick of hearing Yosh, Yosh, Yosh. Next up, the Macho Man Randy Savage, which was already announced earlier in the show. Papa Shango, Earthquake, Berserker, The Undertaker, Puerto Rico's own Carlos Colon, Japan's own The Great Tenryu, Arriba, The Matador, Tito Santana, Typhoon, both of the head shrinkers, Samu and Fatu, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan, who has a pre-tape, but of course he just goes, oh, and yeah. That was Ed McMahon. Oh, there we go. Back to Bobby Heenan again, who is dressed like a rabbi with a Jewish beard, trying to get in, saying he's Rob Bartlett's uncle, and Shamoni pulls the beard down. And Kamala pre-taped stuff. It's more of a, let's show you what happened here, and it's Kamala turning babyface against Harvey Whippleman and Kimchi because of Slick. Well, that was always a heel, Reverend Slick, I guess at this point. And then we have the main event of the night, Damien Demento versus The Undertaker. And Rob Bartlett strikes again, because they get in there, and like, Damien Demento's already in the ring when they come back. And then when they start Undertaker's music, he's already at the ring post. So he's just like, and then they show Paul Bearer, and Bob Bartlett says, who's the guy with the martini shaker? He's like, well, that's Paul Bearer from the famous Bearer family. There's a famous Bearer family? But Macho Man saved this. And he says that Paul Bearer earned the right to be the Undertaker's manager. There's no laughs from the other two. I can imagine Mr. Man is probably smiling because they don't show his face, but come on. That was funny. This is a squash match. Main event's a squash match. Basically, there's a couple moves that don't work. Try to throw him into the ring ropes. And then we get what's now called old school, but it's not really that big here, so it just, just happens. And then a tombstone to win. So, but the show's not over. We have two more things. We have Doink is back out there again. This time Vince McMahon is interviewing him because there's something going on with him and Crush. And then Doink's like, well, I think Crush should come out here. He's too scared to come out here. And then Crush comes out. Crush's music starts playing. And Doink is like, I think he doesn't hear it. And he's like, well, here comes Crush right now. And he's like, and he chases him off. And he's like, you brother, the whole thing. And yeah. And then we end with Heenan back outside with Heenan and Sean Mooney. And Sean Mooney tells him, hey, I'm getting word you can finally go in because the show's over now. So that's the joke. You take out the Doink stuff and just go straight from the Undertaker and Damien Demento finish to the Heenan thing outside. You got to keep that. I heard people say, well, why don't you just end it after the Damien Demento Undertaker match? You need the Heenan thing because it's the end of the running joke. You can finally get in because the show's over now. So that's kind of funny. But overall, this show is getting, from me, a C. Okay? It's a C. There's some good talent here. But, I'm being a little bit fair on it because it is the first show. There is some things technical. There's a thing during the Razor Ramon interview. I forgot to mention this. When he's interviewing him, they cut to footage of him attacking Owen Hart, but it's intercut with the interview. And Razor Ramon is still talking when they're showing the footage. So it's very confusing. But, yeah. Very confusing. But most of the reason why it's getting a C is Rob Bartlett. And if it wasn't good talent on display, if Bobby Heenan wasn't as funny as he was trying to get in, it would be lower. But I'm being fair too. This is the first show and they do get better. Like Bill did. They do get better. So, yeah, but it gets a C from me. So there you have it. Yes, I'll be giving rankings. I'll be giving rating by letters to each thing now for this. So beware of that. But this show gets a C from me. Hopefully, I know they'll get better. Some of these better than others. But for the first show, it was okay. Or John saying it was okay. So what was your thought on the first episode of Monday Night Raw? In the comments below, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.